Hi again everyone, this is Dan from Dan's Treasure Products. I've got the newest item to show you here today. I'm calling this the D.T.P brace. This serves two purposes. You've probably heard a lot of people break the electronic box off of the tube of their metal detector on the Garrett AT Pro, the AT Gold, and even the AT Max now, from what I understand, uses all the same control box and everything as far as the housing for it. And what seems to happen is when people are holding these as they're detecting, they fall, or they just kind of put it down too quickly and it hits hard and it hits on the box, and that rotational force will kind of break off the two studs that everything mounts to here. Well, you can see here, this is a two-piece unit that I've come up with. You've got this, what I'm going to call the back piece, and then the front piece. And the two things it solves is, one is it strengthens that all, gives it a lot more surface area for the tube to mount up to. You'll see a better look on the front piece here. As you can probably tell from back there, try to get a little closer view for you there. Your tube goes completely through this. This doesn't just clamp over and pull this down. The tube goes completely through this. It's a nice snug fit hole. So there is a little bit underneath this. And the reason I made it to where it raises this just a little bit is for the second problem. And a lot of people don't complain about this, not a big issue. But if you like to collapse your detector down to the smallest possible, or if you like having this spring clip here in that second position, like I do, especially if you've got your this unit, which is my fold and go metal detector kit, allows you to fold your Garrett metal detector in, basically in half down to about 27 inches. You want that shorter length as you're transporting it. Well, as it comes from the factory, if you put this spring clip here down in this position, your cam lock gets in the way when you try to open your battery door. You can see here with my bracket on here, my brace, it allows plenty of clearance there for you to change your batteries. Normally you would have to leave that there so your cam lock would be out of the way of your battery door. But with this, you can leave it all the way up there, easy battery change, no problems at all. So let me take this apart so you can get a better look at the D.T.P brace. Okay, like I said, it's a two-piece unit. Now you can see that goes completely around, slides onto the tube. Should be a nice snug fit. When you get yours, if it's a little too tight, just take some sandpaper and lightly go around the inside of that. It's designed to be snug. If it's got just a little bit of gap, that's not going to be a big deal either. If it slides, just a little bit nice and easy, it will still work just fine. So main thing is, if it's just a little too tight, just clean it up on the inside with a little sandpaper. That's just one of the things about having these 3D printed, is there is some slight tolerance there, and when you're wanting a nice tight fit, sometimes you got to do just a little minor adjustment, but not a big deal. So we've got that off. You can see the second piece here on what I'm calling the front, and if you notice on your control box, everything pretty much goes on these two studs. And if you were to look at it from this profile in a view, and you put your round tube there, there's gaps all the way through most of this curve here. It only gets close or even touches the tube on these two outer edges and then on the very bottom. And then your tube rests on this little thin support structure here on the box. And then it goes over and does kind of the same thing over here. Doesn't touch either of these two side pieces in those little curved areas, only touches the very sides and the bottom, and then it rests in this little shallow channel here, your tube will actually rest right up against that. So as you put the 2 screws in here, it pulls it down tight, and it's only touching just that little bit of area. Not a lot of surface area to prevent the tube from rolling either way. And as it wants to roll against that, then it puts a lot of stress on these 2 posts. Now I know some people will just use longer screws so they get further down in this and give it a little more strength. That's fine. I hear that that works good. However, if you do that, if you look closely at these factory screws, and I probably won't be able to get close enough view for you to see it, but if you look really close at your factory screws, these are not a regular sheet metal screw, and they're not a regular self-tapping screw. These are a type of screw made specifically for plastics, and there's a reason for that. It's so that when you tighten it down into something like this, it doesn't have a tendency to push the walls of that and try to crack that structure. It will actually displace more than it does cut a thread, so it kind of moves things in there to make it a much stronger joint for plastics. If you want to look more into that, go online, look for Plastite screws. It's Plastite, Plastite. That's one brand of them. Or you could just search for plastic thread forming or thread rolling screws. Any of those searches will give you more information on it. And these particular screws, if you were to look at them real close, you'll notice there's differences in the threads. And what I mean by that is not every thread is the same height. They have a high and a low thread. The angle of each thread is also different compared to a regular sheet metal screw. These are usually somewhere around between 30 to 45 or 48 degrees on the angle, where a regular sheet metal screw is usually around 60 degrees. So keep that in mind. I'm getting a little off topic here, so let me get back to this. Okay, so like I said before, it's a 2-piece unit. This slides on, gives you more support and structure because it uses the factory structure here to support where these slots are. He's also got a lot more surface area for the tube. You can see how much that goes over that tube. Give you a lot better idea. Hopefully you can tell by the picture there. Kind of hard to get a close up. And then this, show you how that goes on. So let me go ahead and finish taking this apart. Take your cam lock out of the way. You can tell it was a little tight down there, which is fine. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Now, something I wanted to point out is when this is attached, I've made these recessed holes here that line up with your factory speaker cover holes. So those go up in here. You don't have to take these out at all. Nothing there is affected. And also, I've kind of dished this out so it doesn't cover up your speaker holes, so it's not going to affect the volume or anything on the speaker. So it fits right there. And I don't know if you can see in the video there, but there is a slight gap underneath that in the center area. That's fine. It's kind of designed to be there, because once you tighten this down, it's going to put enough pressure on that to where this actually flexes a bit and should give you a nice snug fit across there. So again, that's channeled out there, not going to affect anything. Fits up nice and tight against these 2 walls here, and then as you put your screw in, that tube is going to pull down on this and give you a lot more strength, a lot more support there. Now, to make it even stronger, and this is optional, this is depending on the user if they want to do this or not, I've made some little recessed screw holes here for number 6 sheet metal screws. You can use 1 or 2. Probably want to go with about a 3/8 inch long screw, or maybe 7/16. You don't want one too long because you don't want them hitting each other once they're inside the tube. So you could, with the tube in, just pre-drill for a number 6 screw, put the screw in on each side, and then you've really got a lot of strength. Because what that's going to do is, with the tube in there and 2 screws, it's not going to allow any rotation inside there at all. So, you know, it's really going to improve the strength of it. So let me put it back together for you real quick, just so you can see again how it goes, and that'll about be it. On here, the flat end goes forward, so you've got the 3 slots here, goes right over that post. Just simply push it down. This piece will go on your tube first. You want the dished out side going on first, like that. So you go on there, push your spring clip in. Slide it down about to where it needs to be, which is going to be just past this hole here. Then line up your 2 holes like you would normally. Put those on, make sure this is nice and flush, and your speaker hole, speaker screws go up into the little recessed holes there. Put your 2 factory screws back in, and that is it. You can kind of see here I've had this apart a few times. You can imagine it did take some effort to get this design worked out just right and just like I wanted. So I did have this apart several times for that reason. So tighten those down. Got a nice good fit there, and you can see, especially like I mentioned a minute ago, if you put screws in there, that's really going to prevent that excess force from twisting and breaking this off. So I hope you like what I've shown you here. Follow us on Facebook at Dan's Treasure Products, and thanks for watching.